All right, good evening everyone, and thanks for being here tonight at Digital Transformation. I have a great panel here. These panelists are individuals that have tremendous knowledge in the industry here. We're going to be starting off, kicking off this overall event and this day zero, talking about the customer insight and elaborating on that and how that affects bookings in general, strategies, OTA strategies in general, and we're going to see how we're going to be using that guest feedback to essentially manage our reputation, our online reputation, and see how that affects direct bookings, increasing in bookings using smart technologies. I know their names and their faces are up here, but as a courtesy, I'd like to start with you, Eric, if you want to introduce yourself and where you're coming from as well.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon. Eric Etlin, Head of Marketing for Ambridge Hospitality. Traveled in from California this morning, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, I'm Jen Rohn. I am the SVP of Experience and Commercial for WorldSprings, and I came in from Salt Lake City.
Hi, everybody. I am Doug Ammon, Director of Social and Digital at On Location, and I came in from New York City.
Hi, I'm Stephen Kubiak. I'm the Head of Social Media for Universal Destinations and Experiences out of Orlando, Florida.
And I will also introduce myself. My name is Ornis Mala from Core, Core.co, and it's here out of Texas, Frisco, Texas. All right, so I do have the first question in here that has to do with what drives the bookings, the booking decisions today. Is that, and I've separated this in three parts. Is it brand reputation, so your brand that drives those majority of those bookings, guest reviews, or just the marketing spend in general? Jen, why don't we start with you?
Oh, okay, I will get started. It's really a combination of so many different factors. I would say that marketing really creates awareness. Reviews really help create confidence in booking. But then there's, so many different factors that play into the actual making of the reservation and conversion. And what we see is really there's a lot of different demographics and what influences them. Gen Zs love TikTok. Boomers, really respond well to Facebook, word of mouth. So I think it's really a combination of everything, and different demographics are influenced by different factors.
Doug, do you want to give us an idea if based on what Jen is saying in general, so marketing spend, when you're putting that on a lot of cases, I'll help a little bit on this one. So a lot of cases when you spend a lot of marketing, you can be spending a lot of money, but in general, when you have a lot of guest reviews and brand overall reputation matter as well, as you're saying. So which one of these is more specific that you truly believe that drives some of your bookings?
I think brand reputation. I think having a brand that is recognized and is reputable in the space can really drive overall revenue and strategy. When your brand is sort of the pinnacle of where people want to be and where they want to go, it can totally drive customer spend, and as well as just getting a larger marketing spend to understand what your brand actually offers. So for me, I think it's all about brand reputation, especially at a company like On Location where I'm at, where we're really trying to grow our brand in the premium hospitality space, and understanding to grow this brand, we have to spend on marketing and understand that there's people that are going to want to know more about us. So how do we accomplish that? And it's through brand reputation, and really diving into how to grow our brand.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
I may, I think that Jen and Doug are spot on, and what we're looking at specifically within the brand space and the casting the marketing net is really how reputation and the brands and the marketing spend are evolving, right? So where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going are absolutely critical for us as marketers to understand, because the Gen X baby boomers, obviously, they have one way of shopping, and they have one way of kind of looking at brands and looking at customer reputation. But then, the younger millennial generations, we have 23-year-olds that work on our team, and one of them went to Bali last year. And we asked Jessica, well, how'd you plan your trip to go to Bali? She said, you wouldn't believe this. I did the whole thing on ChatGPT. And she said, I read reviews on the surf locations, on the hotels, on everything. She said, the only thing I had to do was book the hotel through the website. But if I could do that on ChatGPT, I would have. So it's evolving so quickly. And I think that for us as marketers to stay ahead of that is absolutely mission critical.
So you're using ChatGPT AI right now. So what do you think drives specifically ChatGPT to be talking specifically about a location, or make that a proposal?
It's content. Content is king, right? So those marketers and operators that are leaning into building the content specifically for the large language models and are really kind of thinking forward about that space, and they're able to build websites that are crawlable not just from a SEO perspective, from a consumer perspective, but from an agent perspective is mission critical.
Awesome. Yeah. What do you think about you guys?
So for Universal, it's really unique because it really is all about the products. Like, we have something that's incredibly unique. If you want to go and visit Hogwarts Castle, you come to one of our parks.
Right.
If you want to experience Super Nintendo World and Mario and those different characters, you come to one of our parks. And because of that, and having those unique offerings, that's where that word of mouth, that buzz on social starts to build. So when we finished construction, or when we opened Epic Universe last year, we knew that even in the owned social space, we could do a certain amount of marketing there, and we could reach a certain level of audience there, but really it was getting people into the park and getting them talking about it. And it's that brand reputation too. Like, they're building it. If we build an amazing product, people are going to talk about it. People are going to come to it and experience it, and they're going to share that. And then on top of the AI and different kinds of results that people will get when they're looking for these things, is they will find other reviews mixed into their results. They'll see other social posts mixed into their results, all the while we are pulling in that user-generated content. We're interacting with these guests, and again, just building our reputation, because we have a reputation still to build, because there's a lot of amazing competitors in this space. We have to keep our foot on the gas and make sure that people know who we are and what makes us unique.
That's actually extremely important. So you brought up a really phenomenal point. So, and a lot of people, because ever since 2007 when Google came up with these reviews and talking about it, it has become now a thing. So now, not only do you have to keep up the good service and everything, so that's exactly right. So with all that content you guys have right now, are you doing anything specifically with AI to connect these reviews to help drive more traffic to you and more bookings, essentially, but using AI specifically?
Yes, there's a lot of experimental tools being used by different teams. For my team, we're not using that specifically for pulling any kind of data, but there are teams that are experimenting with that. That's obviously the hot topic, the thing that people are looking at right now, and we're finding unique ways to integrate that into the business.
I'll just add on the AI side of things, in terms of social and responding to guest comments or guest DMs or guest feedback, we're starting to tinker with understanding how can AI mass respond to different guests if somebody's upset about something or if somebody wants more ideas about something. How can we tap into different AI platforms to then automate responses to get their sort of needs met through a social lens?
So you're using tools for that right now?
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct.
Are you doing anything specific on your side, Jen, with AI right now?
We use AI for guest reviews, really just back of house. We use it to analyze the data. We use it to segment the different customer groups. We use it to kind of see the different trends and sentiments over time. We're not currently using it to respond to reviews.
You are, or
we are not?
You're
not at this
right.
current moment. It's definitely something we're looking into, but we really like to keep a human touch with the reviews, and I do think there's a place for it if we can, the more basic responses, but with certain escalations or really powerful reviews, we really like to keep that human touch. So right now we're kind of using it more for back of house and analytics.
Yeah, if I could just add on to that too, is the human touch is so incredibly important with our business, because if somebody has some kind of issue, and being able to know that there's a human behind there instead of automated responses, where it does work for very simple things, and there are chatbots, there's other features for analyzing sentiment, but we do have a team, a customer care team that looks at that, and we take a lot of pride in that we're using social media. It's not just fun TikTok, although people would think that's just my job, fun TikTok videos. I mean, that's what you do.
I was going to say, no, it's
that is
literally
what you do.
all fun TikTok
that's
videos.
all. But there also is utilizing social media for other purposes, and that customer service part is such a critical part of if somebody has an issue or something. I've seen in real time our team being able to resolve that and turn a problem into a solution that changed somebody's day, and that's incredible to be able to do that for somebody.
You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly the same situation in our industry. With over 1,000 hotels, and if the GMs get too far removed from the day-to-day operation, hearing real time from the customers what is actually happening, then they're going to miss some blind spots. And AI can kind of help to speed up and accelerate the process of reading, consolidating reviews, and responding to reviews, but the GM ultimately, in our opinion, has to be the person that approves that review to be sent, or they're going to be too far removed from the operation and hearing exactly what the guest is saying about the hotel.
So I'm going to continue on that very specific point you said. So have AI collect it, respond quickly, but also bring the human touch to it. So when I'm going to segregate in here in this one, because I have in here one of the questions that I have written is what or how do you, because you have volume, right? You have so many coming in, and having people read every single one of them and understand every single one of them, it's great, but also it requires a substantial amount of people to do that. So that's why AI can fast forward this process. So what are you doing right now to essentially segregate between an isolated complaint and something that's an actual operational problem, something that is substantial? Like, are you doing anything specific? Are you using any tool specific to do that right now? I'll start with you, Doug, on this.
No tool specifically, but more so AI monitoring keywords from a social standpoint, and also monitoring length of sentiment and what the guest is actually saying. To everyone's point about the human touch, it is so paramount to, I think, all of our positions is human touch has to be a part of it, but to the volume point that you're making, there needs to be some layer, I think, in my opinion, where we can also sort of send two different pathways, one that potentially AI could deal with, and then one that goes with more of a human touch. And for us, we're really just experimenting to see what works from an AI capacity. It's still so new and fresh that it does require that second layer of human touch, but I do think there's a world where we could get to a place where potentially AI is sorting out the lesser known problems, where the human touch is still going into the more major problems.
Awesome. Jen, are you using any specific tools right now for that, or not really right now at this point?
No, we aren't currently. We have a pretty small team that's just hyper focused on reviews and feedback and surveys and really just keeping that pulse. Again, we use the AI back of house to analyze, but right now it's still all personal.
Building reports out of this feedback is one of the most important things, because at the end of the day, human touch is important to deal with this, because that's where you want to grab them, build the reports, and act, essentially build operational changes on those feedback. And this has been happening for all years in business, not even in the past few years. So with that said, what exactly are you doing right now where you're collecting this and you're actually getting that insight and implementing that into real operational changes? How are you actually doing it right now?
Absolutely. I wasn't sure I was going to share this story, but I'm going to share it. Is right now at Universal Orlando Resort, we have Mardi Gras going on. So part of it is we have different food booths from different countries. One of them was Italy, and they had the, I think it's arancini, the rice balls, the fried rice balls. And this was several years ago, and we had 4 of them in a serving. And suddenly one day it went to 3. And one person in particular just kind of freaked out about that. It's like, where's the missing ball? Like, I want my rice ball. Where did it go? And our social team saw it just manually. This isn't where AI is going to help us find oh, this person's upset about this missing food product. And we let our digital guest services team know. We let our food team know. And it's like, hey, they missed this. We need to bring that back. So we called it Ballgate internally, and they added that back. But it was something very simple, but it was actually a very tangible example of taking something very simple, bringing it back, making sure that people saw that we were listening to them. And that's the key with all of it, is them being heard and listened to and action being taken. And I'm really proud of the company that they really do an amazing job of doing that. So it is something simple like there, and there's much more elegant examples, but that one always stuck out to me because, what a simple thing can really change somebody's day.
Awesome. I mean, just for the audience to learn more about some of the different options, and that's a perfect example. What about you, Eric? I mean, what are you guys using something specific right now to be able to capture this information and implement that into actual operational changes?
Yeah, we are. We have a few different paths that we take. So we have a proprietary in-house ratings and reviews platform that helps us monitor and respond to reviews. We also are stewards as a third-party hotel management company. We're stewards of the brands, right? So all the major brands have their guest satisfaction scores. And as stewards of the brands, we have to make sure that we're keeping those kind of post-stay survey result scores up to brand standards. So that's absolutely critical for us. And so we're now monitoring both. And a year or two ago, it was monitoring the GSS scores from the brands. Now we're looking at review score index as well as GSS to understand in real time what are the customers saying about our properties, both in loyalty surveys, but also in real time on all the various review platforms. That is absolutely critical for us, especially in the world of AI, when a customer may have gone just to TripAdvisor or just gone to Google or maybe a few different review sites. Now they can get that data from all sites compiled in real time. So we know that from a business perspective, we can spend all the money we want in advertising, we can run a clean operation, but if the customers are not giving us those positive reviews, it's going to cost us more money to drive them through advertising, and we won't get those loyalty guests, and it's not going to be the best stewards of the brands for our hotels.
We do something very similar to that on location. So we utilize a platform called Trustpilot, which essentially is a survey platform that after any of our experiences, our guests are then sent this and then asked to review the experience. And we've worked extremely hard since I started on location to really build that Trustpilot score up. Listening to guest feedback, we didn't have a Ballgate, unfortunately. But we definitely have things where if we see a trend that's happening in Trustpilot or these surveys that we get back, we listen to that feedback and then sort of take that and implement it going forward.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll start with another question for you that I have in here, because this leads into overall guest feedback. We're all agreeing that it's extremely important to work with it, respond to it. So how important is it the speed on getting over to these guests? Like once they complain, or even if they say something great about it, how important is that for you, Jen? I'll start with you, Jen.
I think responding to guests in general, a phone call or an email quickly is very, very important to closing the deal. But when it comes to responding to reviews, I don't think that there's a direct correlation with how quickly you're going to respond to that review and how that's going to impact. I do think it's very important to respond to people, especially the more negative or sensitive reviews. But we try to get back to every review within 24 hours. So
Within 24 hours?
Yeah.
Is that something that you arbitrarily have set as 24 hours, or you just think that's important to actually?
We think it's important to respond to every guest that gives us feedback. We really value feedback, and we want to make sure the guests understand that we're listening and we're reading and we're seeing it. So, but we don't have any metrics paired with, if we respond within 24 hours, our conversion rate's going to increase. We don't look at things like that at the moment. So.
Do you see it different?
So for us, it's if somebody's in the park, we want to respond to that as quickly as possible, and the team does a great job at doing that. But same thing with online reviews. If there's something that you can respond to a little bit, like maybe it's after a trip or something, that we can take a little bit more time to respond, but still it's relatively quick, 24, 48 hours type of situation. But if they're in the park, any way we can rectify the situation, whether it's through social media or like a physical guest relations counter that somebody would go to, that we can get that resolved.
Yeah, to add on that, actually on site, if we see an upset guest, that is where we are very proactive to try to remedy the situation before it turns into a negative review. So we really, you're not always going to be perfect, but I think guests respond really well if you are able to go above and beyond and fix a situation, which could go from a 1-star review to a 5-star review, just based on the business response and being proactive. So
I'll just quickly add on the social side of things, that's a huge empowerment tool. Like the ability to respond to a DM right away.
Yes.
When you see it, you're able to just immediately respond. That wasn't the case years ago. You had to wait for surveys and so on forth to come through, but like to have that come through a DM and then see it and then respond to it immediately, I've seen, to Jen's point, like that change a review from 1-star to 5-star because they're like, somebody is here monitoring what I'm saying and getting back to me right away. So it's a real power tool for social.
That's absolutely everything, because when I can see that in real time happen when the team is doing that, I know that we've just made somebody's day, made it better, corrected that, taken that action to listen.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, within our leisure side of our business, our average booking window is anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks out. So the timeliness of our hotels responding to reviews is mission critical for making sure that as we want to capture demand, we need to make sure that we're responding to those reviews. But it's not just responding to those reviews, but going back, Stephen, to what you said, it's kind of during the stay is that opportunity to solicit reviews, right? Ask those guests, how has your stay been? If it was a positive stay, obviously give them a card with a QR code on it and solicit that positive feedback, right? Obviously. But then if the stay didn't go well, there was some issue with their stay, then you have that opportunity while they're still on your property to correct it and you avoid that negative review. So there's a whole operational process behind this.
And
I'll just quickly add finally on the content side of things, we've now turned positive guest reviews into testimonial content that's performed really well across our social and digital, because you hear from someone directly in the moment, I just did this incredible experience, what are you feeling? To get that in the moment has been awesome for us from a content perspective as well. So you can really build on the positive sentiment and take it out to even more and more content.
That's extremely important feedback, and you guys sharing all of this information is important. I mean, I can absolutely second that. I get the deal and see customers, businesses really, that turn around and have tremendous, better rating, more foot traffic, more of that when they respond, when they quickly interact with them, while they're staying at the location, all of that, it just makes me feel better, makes you, everybody, all of us. So with that said, now, a lot of it requires now some sort of automation. So which portion of this should actually be, of this communication should be automated? I'm sorry, if you still haven't done that, if you still haven't done the automation, or if you have, which portion have you automated, or if you have not, what would you like to see more automated in this? Reaching out to the customer, instead of having your employees do that, what is an option? What is a tool that you're using, or how are you doing it to automate it all? I'll start with you, Eric.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. It's a great question. I think it goes back to my point I just made. The hotels, and we all see this, right? But not every hotel consistently delivers this level of automation where during your stay, they're sending you a survey or a link to how's your stay, please give us feedback, things of that nature. And then to automate that to be so tightly woven into the operation of the hotel so that they can respond to that in real time during your stay and check in on those guests that are kind of wavering on how things have been going, right? That feedback loop is absolutely critical. So I think more of that type of automation is critical. Ambridge has a hotel, Denizen, not too far from here, 30-minute drive, and they do a phenomenal job at this. And I had no idea until I stayed there for my first time a couple of months ago that they had this process in place, and it was phenomenal. I was very impressed with the way that they ran their operation. But not every hotel does that.
The way they approached you to get the feedback, or?
So it was both. It was a text message survey, or not survey, but just kind of asking how the stay was going, how was the experience, all the things. Is there anything we can do better? So there was that form of solicitation, and then at the front desk, the GM asked how was the stay, and I said, it's been phenomenal, you guys have been great, and she gave me the QR code and solicited a review. So without even knowing, I learned a lot from that, just that experience myself, and I've been in business for quite some time, so that was phenomenal. So more of that type of automation to try to capture that real-time feedback as the guests are on property is key.
That's actually phenomenal feedback, and I hope that helps a lot here in the audience. For automation on your end, elaborate just a little bit more, if you may, like anything specific that you're doing in terms of automating this handling. I mean, of course, your guest services is right there and all that. Anything specific that you'd like to see automated, or anything that you'd recommend?
Yeah, I think it's more of, it's not just what people are saying directly to us, because we'll get comments directly from our guests on our social channels, and it's a great tool there. But then there's tools that are a little bit, there's a lot of internet out there, and there's a lot of people talking about our parks. So being able to sift through a lot of that in areas that we may not be listening is something that, you know, kind of automating that and pulling that. And we pull sentiment reports, and there's a lot, I think, in all of the social media that we've done, is there is built-in, like, more machine learning than AI when it comes to sentiment reports, you know, what guests are saying, if it's like categorizing certain issues there. But I think just like going farther in areas that they may be making a comment to, it goes back to word of mouth in social media. It's like, it's great if they're talking to us, but what if they're just posting a random Facebook post to their friends like, I had this kind of experience? Like, we can't always grab that. So having more data, more to go by on things that people are saying about us just outside of our sphere of influence is something I would like more of, and certainly to automate it, because there's a lot of data there.
I know, and that's where it came from what we were talking earlier. Like, with the help of AI, we can actually do now a lot of that, and looks like, Doug, a lot of it you're doing right now.
We're trying to, and I think, Steve, like the idea of sifting through the noise is just so paramount for us. There's so much discourse on the internet. There's so much good and bad. The ability to automate the good and double down on that, and then also automate the bad and figure out how we can remove it, is just really where I'd like to see AI go to for the next level. I don't think it's there yet, but I feel like we're working towards something there. Just because there's so much, and we're human and we can only do so much as individuals, we need to start tapping into different programs to figure out what's good and what's bad, and then sifting through it.
We as humans obviously make mistakes, and so does AI. So the more we train them, the more smarter they get. So yeah, I'm with you on this one. So Jen, I'll go to you on this part that I have in here. So a lot of manual communication that happens requires, it's mainly focused on essentially taking care of the customer, as you were saying. Like, I'd like to have that more manual. So does that create inefficiency in general? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the inefficiencies come from a lot of phone calls and emails, a lot of that noise. We try to reduce that by really listening to the types of questions that guests ask. You know, we record phone calls, we pull in data, we analyze it, and then we say, okay, maybe we need to update our content site. Maybe we need to update our FAQs. How can we better answer those questions quickly throughout all of our channels? So I would say, you know, some of those big inefficiencies we try to address based on just recording the questions that come in.
Do you think doing manual work in general, I mean, this is more for the audience to have this understanding. So Eric, do you think doing a lot of the manual work would cause inefficiency and lack of scalability, essentially?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. I think that there's, in this day and age, if folks aren't adapting to the changing times around them and using the technology to become more efficient, then they're really going to be left behind. There's no question to that. We, within my team, we started about 18 months ago an AI task force with the goal of just that. How do we create efficiencies? Not only efficiencies, but how do we get ahead of the changing technology and you know, the different ways that just websites are being, you know, optimized these days with, you know, geo optimization versus SEO, right? And optimizing for the LLM. So there's so much that can be optimized from a workflow perspective that I think that teams really need to be ahead of and put folks that are both curious and subject matter experts, at least as much as they can be at this early stage, to bring the rest of the group up and bring these ways of becoming more efficient as a team, because we're not adding the number of FTEs to our teams that we maybe once were. So it's really about efficiency.
Is there any specific, another question I want to add to this automation and efficiency. So OTA strategies that you guys have right now, how much of that can be enhanced and be more efficient using AI?
I really can't answer that.
Yeah, you can actually. That's actually wrong. So I'll go with Jen on this one.
Yeah, I was like, don't come to me.
I'll go with Jen on this one.
Keep going.
We only have OTAs at one of our properties at Zion Canyon Hot
Really?
Springs.
Okay.
But so actually just repeat the question.
So I said, can AI
Yeah.
improve and automation with AI improve the strategies, OTA strategies, essentially all of these places where the bookings are happening? Can AI improve and help automate that? By automating that, can help improve more bookings, essentially. I'll go.
I
I'm
can
gonna
jump
pass
in.
it to.
Yeah. So from an online travel agent,
Yeah, exactly.
right, kind of direct versus
Exactly,
OTA
yeah.
standpoint. So this is really an inflection point in in our industry, the way I see it, because the OTAs came in and they took advantage of an open door, right? And they created a whole new distribution center for hotels that fundamentally changed the hotel industry. And I think we're at that next inflection point of distribution within travel. And it really is the large language models, right? It is how are the ChatGPTs of the world going to potentially, well, they are going to create a whole new distribution center for our properties. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and that timeline keeps getting accelerated. So it's going to be interesting to see. The OTAs right now are spending a lot of money. They're doubling down on trying to get ahead of this, because they know that as we think about what's your moat, right? As their moat is at risk, that's a very interesting moment for them to figure out how they're going to navigate this time, right? Because if model context protocol, it's an MCP, it's a direct connect from the large language models into our rates and availability. And as customers like Jessica, who I mentioned on my team, says, well, I can book the entire trip, research and book the entire trip through ChatGPT, I'm going to do that, right? So it's mission critical for not only the OTAs, third-party operators like Aimbridge, but also for the brands to kind of get ready for what's inevitably going to come. And if brands are waiting, they think that their moat with the loyalty programs and their brands are gonna forever be that moat for them. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? But that's something that we're testing and looking into, is how do we build a direct connect for at least our independent hotels, that we don't have to kind of work within the brand confines to understand kind of how this works and how can we set ourselves up for the next phase of distribution.
I do want to leave a few minutes for questions from the audience, but I do have this last question that I have in here that, as I was opening, I was referencing to, we're going to talk about the guest reviews and what you guys are doing and how you're collecting and responding. But then the most important part about guest reviews is essentially visitations and the revenue. So do you truly believe that the impact that guest reviews, reputation, and you handling of those situations reflects directly your visitations or revenue in general for the businesses? And I'll start with you.
I think it does partially. I think a big part of us is the product that we have.
Sure.
But I think how people see us respond in any kind of guest reviews is incredibly important. So again, if there's a trend and we're able to address that it does have a direct correlation to visitation. When people visit, they may decide to delay visitation for one reason or another, and we're able to see that being solved through addressing those different comments. So absolutely, I believe that it does, but it does help to have a great product.
You would have bad reputation if you had bad. What about you, Doug?
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I think that there's the power is in how we as brands respond to said reviews. I think if people see a company that's engaged and responsive and problem solving because of what customers are saying to them, it's only going to lead better results for revenue. But I don't think guest reviews or negative guest reviews necessarily directly impact it. I think it's more so how we respond to said reviews and our engagement with the customer and really understanding, like, if there is an issue, how can we solve it and get back to it, and then see people or have people see that we've responded, and then have them understand that this brand is someone that engages with their customers and cares about their people. I think the real power is in that.
Jen?
We're similar to Universal. We have a pretty unique experience, but we actually do see a direct correlation between our Google reviews and our web conversion rate.
You do?
Yes,
actually.
we do. We definitely do. We get busier in the warmer weather. We get more reviews. Our reviews go up, and we see higher bookings. Which, I mean, there's so many different factors that come into play with e-commerce conversion. But you can track it on a line where if our Google reviews dip, our conversion will
I'm going to
dip.
add a fun fact on what you just said about Google review, which is very important. So thanks for bringing that up. That's very important. Eric?
Exactly the same thing.
Same?
Yeah, absolutely.
So very, very fun fact in here. So Google has this guideline that is very specific that not everybody has to piggyback from that, but what they do is you can have 5-star reviews, but you're not going to be listed up top. And a lot of people call friends and family, sometimes there's even customers, but they don't list up top. So the reviews coming in from actual customers at a standard pace. So if you just have a lot of reviews come in at once, and then you have little reviews, and then you have a lot of good reviews, they don't take that as standard of reputation that you have. But if you're having common ground of the amount of reviews you're getting, that's where they take that and you actually get listed up top. So sometimes you see a 4.7 or 4.5 versus someone with 5.0 or 4.9 listed down there. So it's very important. So that is perfect.